The first question. Is it possible that you are not enlightened? If it is the case, would that make any difference for me? It is not only possible, it is absolutely certain that I am not enlightened. Enlightenment happens only when one is not. Hence one cannot be enlightened. Either one is or enlightenment is. Both cannot be together. That's an impossibility. That is not in the very nature of things. The Buddha will say, Es Dhammo Sanantano. This is the ultimate law of life. One cannot be enlightened. To be is the barrier, not the bridge. It hinders. In fact, it is the only hindrance. To dissolve, not to be, that becomes the bridge. Hence, the word Buddha uses for enlightenment is tremendously significant and beautiful. It contains the most profound truth ever uttered, but it is untranslatable. Enlightenment is a very far away echo of it. The very word enlightenment gives you a totally different sense. Buddha's word is nirvana. Nirvana means cessation, disappearance. Literally it means when you blew a candle off, when the light of the candle is blown off, when the light disappears, one cannot ask where it has gone. One cannot say where it is now. It is simply no more. This is nirvana, the disappearance of the light, and enlightenment gives you just the opposite meaning. It makes you feel that you become enlightened, that you become full of light, that darkness disappears, not you. You remain. In fact, you are far more than you were before, because before you were hidden in darkness. Now, all darkness is gone and your being is revealed. Buddha says there is no being in you. You are a non-being. Anatta is his word. Anatta means no self, no soul, no being. He does not deny only the ego. He denies every possibility of the ego. Otherwise the ego is so cunning, it will go on coming back again and again. It will find subtle ways to catch hold of you. It will come in the name of the self. In fact, it will come very loudly in the name of the self. Ordinarily, people write self with a lowercase s. And the people who philosophize about the ultimate reality start writing self with a capital S. It is ego magnified. It is ego decorated. It is ego pretending to be holy. It is ego pretending to be eternal. Buddha uses the word no self, no soul, no being. He leaves no possibility for the ego to sprout again. He simply cuts it from the very roots. Never before Gautama the Buddha it had been done so efficiently. My understanding, my experience is exactly the same. Nirvana cannot be claimed by anyone. To claim it is to falsify it. The Upanishads say, those who know cannot claim, and those who claim cannot know. The knower cannot say, I know, because in the knowing, the I melts. There is nobody to claim. There is nobody to brag. Hence, I can only say one thing. It is absolutely certain that I am not enlightened. What is enlightened is not me. It is beyond the idea of I. It is transcendental to the ego. And in that sense, you are also enlightened. You may not know it. That is another matter. Knowing or not knowing makes no difference to your nature. Your nature remains the same. Exactly the same. When you become enlightened, you don't become a new person. In fact, you don't gain anything, you only lose something. You lose your chains, you lose your bondage, you lose your misery. You go on losing. Enlightenment is a process of losing. You don't gain anything. When there is left nothing to lose, that state is nirvana. That state of utter silence can be called enlightenment. I don't claim anything. And you ask me, if it is the case, would that make any difference for me? It will make. Because you are not here with me. You are not here in a love relationship. You are here out of your greed. If it was not so, the question would not have arisen at all. Your questions so much about you. Your questions as questions may be meaningless, absurd, but there's so much about you, they are indicators. If you become absolutely certain that I am not enlightened, then your relationship with me is finished. Then you will start searching for somebody else who is enlightened. Then you have to move to some other master. And you will be caught by someone who brags, by someone who has a very subtle spiritual ego, who claims, who tries to prove through the scriptures or through miracles or through some other things. You need to be convinced that you are with the right person. The greedy person asks for proofs. Love never asks for any proofs. The people who were with Jesus were very greedy. They were all Jews. Obviously, they could not have been otherwise. They were continuously asking him, "Are you really the Son of God? Really?" In their question there is suspicion, doubt. They want Jesus to do miracles, walk on water, raise the dead, cure the blind. And even then, they are not convinced. Maybe there is some trick in it. Walking on the water, or curing the blind man, or raising the dead. Who knows? There is some trick. There is every possibility. The whole story of Lazarus may be just and managed act. Lazarus was one of the friends of Jesus. He could have told him, "Lie down, pretend to be dead." He may have taught him few yoga tricks, how not to breathe. Yogis know the tricks, and Jesus has been to India. He may have learned few tricks, how not to breathe, how to stop breathing. Now it is a proved fact that there are yoga exercises which can do it. One yogi from South India, Brahma Yogi, demonstrated it in many universities, in the Oxford, in Cambridge, in Calcutta, in Tokyo, in many universities, before very learned scientific gathering. He used to stop his breathing for 10 minutes. For all practical purposes, he was not breathing. But only very sophisticated instruments showed that there was a slight breathing still going on. But that is not visible to the eyes. The pulse stops. The pulse can be stopped very easily. You can learn the trick. The trick is so easy. You do only one thing. Count your pulse. Then every day, early in the morning when you get up fresh, don't do anything else. Sit in your bed. Count your pulse. And then for 5 minutes, focus your mind on the pulse and go on repeating inside, it is slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. And you will be surprised, within a week, you have learned the art of slowing it down. You can bring it to lower and lower as your practice grows. Within a 3 months' time, you can stop it for a few moments. And if you practice for years, you can stop it for a few minutes. The same is true about the heartbeat, about the breathing. Brahma Yogi proved before the scientists that he is capable of stopping the breath. Now, Lazarus may have been just pretending that he is dead. Suspicions can never be put aside. If you doubt, you will doubt everything. And I don't say that there is something wrong in doubting. The only thing is that you have not fallen in love with Jesus. The master-disciple relationship has not happened. Hence the questions, hence the desire for proofs. But your doubting mind will create new questions, will ask for new proofs. And it is an infinite regress. I know of a Bengali saint, Bengali Baba, who once stopped a train on the Calcutta station and created much news all over Bengal and became famous because of that. Otherwise, nobody had known about him. He entered into a first-class compartment. The ticket collector came. He asked for the ticket, and Bengali Baba said that I am a fakir, a saint, and saints don't need any tickets. You get lost. Of course, the conductor became very angry. He said, you have to produce the ticket, otherwise I will throw you out. Bengali Baba said, you can throw me out, but remember, without me, this train cannot move even a single inch. Now it was a great challenge. He was thrown out. The police was called, he was taken out. He stood there on the platform, closed his eyes, went into deep samadhi, and the miracle happened. The driver tried hard. The guard was showing his flag, but nothing happened. And the driver was puzzled because there was nothing wrong in the engine. Everything was working perfectly, but the train did not move a single inch. A great crowd gathered. All the passengers gathered. Even the station master came and touched the feet of Bengali Baba and said, please, let the train go. Bengali Baba said, this way, it cannot happen. Bring that man who has thrown me out. He has to touch my feet. Apologize and promise me never to ask a fakir for the ticket. The conductor was very unwilling, but the whole crowd pressed him, forced him, virtually dragged him that we have other works to do. And the train is getting late, somebody has to attend the court, somebody has to go somewhere else. And just because of your foolish ego, and what is wrong in asking forgiveness? And you have seen the power of the man. Finally, he touched the feet, asked the Baba to enter in the train, promised never to ask any fakir for the ticket. And the moment the Baba entered the train moved. He became famous all over Bengal. And the secret was very simple. He was a very good man. Before he died, he revealed his secret. He said the secret was this, that I had bribed two persons. One was the ticket collector, the conductor, and the other was the driver. Just two persons were bribed. And the whole show was so perfect. So who knows whether Lazarus was pretending to be dead? It is possible. If you doubt, you can doubt anything. After all these miracles, still the apostles were asking Jesus again and again, give us proof. Even at the last moment when he was crucified, they were hiding in the crowds and waiting for the ultimate miracle to happen. And when it did not happen, they were really very much disappointed. So their whole life was wasted by this man. He was doing all kinds of tricks, and now on the cross everything has failed. So there was no God behind him. Otherwise this was the time to prove. They were all greedy people. Your question is full of greed. So when you ask me if it is the case, would that make any difference for me? Even in asking, you know, it will make difference. Because you are not here for any love affair, not out of trust, but out of greed. You want to gain something. And if the man is not enlightened, then why waste your time here? Move to somewhere else. Find the right person who can help you. If I am not enlightened, how I can help you to be enlightened? So what is the point of being here? And I say to you, it is better you move. Because I have said clearly that it is not only possible, it is absolutely certain that I am not enlightened. So those who are out of greed, spiritual greed, should not be here. This is not the place for them. This is not a business place. It is only for those who are gamblers, who can risk. It is only for those who are a little bit mad, drunkards. I don't promise you anything. I don't promise you the kingdom of God. I don't promise you enlightenment. I don't promise you at all. My whole approach is of living moment to moment, enlightened or unenlightened. What does it matter? Living moment to moment, joyously, ecstatically. Living moment to moment totally, intensely, passionately. If one lives passionately, the ego dissolves. If one is total in one's acts, the ego is bound to dissolve. It is like when a dancer goes on and on dancing. A moment comes where only dance remains and the dancer disappears. That is the moment of enlightenment. Whenever the doer is not there, the manipulator is not there, whenever there is nobody inside you and only emptiness, nothingness, that is enlightenment. And out of that beautiful space, whatsoever is born has grace, has glory. Paradise is not something geographical. It is not somewhere else. It is a way of living. It belongs to those who can live totally and intensely. Then immediately, here now, paradise descends. Or even better, wells up within their own sources, within their own being. Just the space is needed for it to well up. And I don't say to you, drop the ego. Because if you drop the ego, then the dropper will become the ego. I don't say become humble. Because if you become humble, then behind the facade of humbleness, there will be a very subtle ego hiding. So my devices are different. I say dance to abandon. Sing, play music. Do whatsoever you like doing and move into it so totally that nothing is left behind. When nothing is left behind, ego dissolves on its own account. That's the meaning of nirvana. You have blown the candle off. Suddenly it is not there. Then whatsoever is divine. The ego is human. Egolessness is divine. The ego is hell. Egolessness is paradise. The second question. Can I ever be happy with my wife? It is almost impossible. Nothing is wrong with your wife, but the very institution of marriage is ugly. The very institution is anti-love. It is based in denying love to flower within you. Marriage is an invention of those who don't want the earth to be full of flowers of love. Love is dangerous to the establishment. The most dangerous thing. Because if people are loving, then this society is doomed. This society depends on hatred, not on love. Our whole politics, our whole so-called religion is based on hatred. Nations are divided for what? The earth is one. What is the need of nations? India and Pakistan and Afghanistan. What is the need of nations? Can't humanity live together? Why all these boundaries? These boundaries are needed by the politicians. Without the boundaries, the politicians will disappear. Without the boundaries, there will be no politics. These boundaries create the whole game. And these boundaries are just big prisons. You don't feel like imprisoned because the prison is so big you cannot see. Then try to cross over the boundary from India to Pakistan or from Pakistan to India, and then you will see that it was all nonsense, thinking yourself to be free. You cannot go beyond the boundary. You need a passport, a visa, a permit, a this and that. Then suddenly you become aware that the prison was too big, that's why you were not aware of its walls. But there are walls all around you. Man has not yet become civilized enough to be allowed to move around the earth in freedom. When you pass from one prison to another, you have to fulfill many conditions. And these nations go on fighting, continuously fighting. 70% of human energy is wasted in war. And the people are starving, and the people are dying. The same energy can transform the whole earth into such a rich planet that nobody will bother about heaven at all. We can create a far better heaven here. We are more scientifically equipped, because I have read the descriptions of your heaven in all the scriptures of the world. They are all living in the world of the bullock cart. They don't know even anything about bicycles. I have never come across any description that angels are moving on bicycles. What to say about anything else? Your conceptions of heaven were developed at least 3,000 years before. Man has come of age. We have far better technology, far better efficiency to create, to produce. But the whole thing goes on in the war effort for stupid reasons. Now, what is the point of Iraq and Iran fighting? Utterly foolish, but destroying each other. And in destroying each other, they will be destroying everybody else too, because the whole world depends on these two countries for all kinds of things. Diesel, petrol, and other petroleum products. These two are the giant countries, and they are destroying each other's capacities. Once they are successful in destroying each other, they would have destroyed the whole world in a way. The whole world will be dragged back. And there seems to be no point. The whole question is of boundary, where the boundary should be. And on the earth there are no boundaries, only on the maps. Mullah Nasruddin was going on an aeroplane trip. It was his first trip. And when he passed the boundary of India and Pakistan, he was looking out of the window with his big microscope for the boundary, and he could not see any boundary. And the pilot was saying that just 2 miles ahead is the boundary of India and Pakistan, and within seconds we will be crossing it. See, he was very intently looking, but no boundary. He asked the passenger sitting by his side, where is the boundary? I cannot see. The very idea that the boundary exists on the earth was so foolish that his neighbor played a joke on him. He said, you look intently, concentrate on it. It is a very delicate thing and we are thousands of feet away. But if you look minutely, you will see. And he put Mullah Nasruddin's one of the hairs from his beard on the glass of the microscope. And Mullah said, yes, now I can see. Yes, there is the boundary. And at the end of the boundary I can see there is a camel also. But a very strange looking camel I have never seen. The neighbor said, this is Pakistani camel. How can you have seen it before? He was seeing his own beards. On the earth, there are no boundaries, but politicians need boundaries. Religiousness has no boundaries, but priests need it. Religiousness is neither Christian nor Hindu nor Mohammedan. But then what the priests will do? They will be out of job, completely out of job. And millions of people depend on these boundaries. Their whole business is to go on insisting that only Christianity is the right religion. That only Hinduism is the right religion. Unless you are a Christian, there is no hope for you. And the same is the claim of all other religions. Everybody is trying to pull you in his fold because numbers create power. The society up to now has existed in deep hatred. Hatred for other countries, hatred for other religions, hatred for other colored people, hatred in every possible way. So the love quality has to be destroyed. And we start destroying the qualities of love from the very childhood. We start teaching the child that you are a Hindu, Mohammedan, Christian, hate others. When we don't say it directly, it is a very indirect maneuver. We start making every child ambitious, and ambition means you cannot love. Ambition is anti-love. Ambition needs fight. Ambition needs struggle. Ambition needs that you have to use others as means. Love is a totally different perspective. Love says respect the other as an end unto himself or herself. Never use the other as a means. Nobody is a means for you. Everybody is an end. But then ambition will flop. And our whole educational system depends on ambitiousness. Our politics depends on ambition. Our religions depend on ambition. The politics is the religion of this world, and the religion is the politics of the other world. That's the only difference between the two. And the politician and the priest have been in deep conspiracy for centuries. They have divided amongst themselves. We will rule here, you rule there. We will rule before death, you rule after death. 50-50. But both have to do one thing, destroy any potential for love. For thousands of years, only child marriages were allowed. It was a subtle strategy. Girdhalilal Jain himself may have got married when he was a child, not knowing what is going to happen. When once you become young, it becomes difficult for you to accept any woman or any man as your wife or husband. You will start asking embarrassing questions to your parents that I don't love this man, I don't love this woman. And love is something that cannot be enforced. If it happens, it happens. If it does not happen, it does not happen. So the cunning people decided that before you start asking about love, it is better to arrange a marriage. All other relationships are given by the birth. There was only one freedom for you, to choose your wife or your husband. Even that has been destroyed. You cannot choose your mother. You cannot choose your father. You cannot choose your brothers and your sisters. That's all accidental. You cannot choose your uncles, your aunts. That is beyond your choice. The only freedom was you can choose your beloved. But that too was denied. People were married when they were so small, 6 years old, 7 years old. In India, marriages used to be arranged even when the child was inside the womb. People used to arrange that if your child turns out to be a boy and my child turns out to be a girl, or vice versa, we will marry them. Marriage has been decided already before the birth. This was a strategy to poison. So the child will grow with the wife or the husband just as one grows with one's brothers and sisters. He will become accustomed. Love will never happen. The society is very much afraid of love. It condemns love. It calls love is blind. The fact is, love only is the phenomenon which is not blind. Everything else is blind. Logic is blind, not love. But you have been told love is blind. You have been told that love is mad. In all the languages of the world, this type of expression exists. Falling in love, as if one falls. I would like to change it. Whenever you are in love, never call it that I have fallen in love. Say I have risen in love. It is reaching higher than you have ever been before. It is not a fall. It is growth. You ask me, can I ever be happy with my wife? It is not a personal question at all, remember. And I am not answering it you in a personal way either. It is a general question. You cannot be happy with your wife unless you respect her as a person and not as a wife. Unless you accept her as independent, free to be herself, you cannot be happy. And man has been told that he is the possessor. The wife is only a possession. In China, for centuries, the husband was allowed to kill his wife if he wanted, because the wife was just a thing. In India, the wife is thought to be the property of the husband. Certainly, if the wife is your property, how you can be happy with her? You are insulting her. You are humiliating her. You are destroying her individuality. She will take revenge. Of course, her ways will be feminine ways of taking revenge. But she will take revenge. She will create a situation in which you will be in constant hell. The society has been dominated by man too long, and he has reduced the woman into a commodity. Now it cannot be done anymore. The woman has the equal rights as every man, and she has to be respected. She is a human being and nobody's property. At the most, the husband and the wife are friends, not more than that. And don't take her for granted, because nobody can take anybody for granted. One cannot be certain about the tomorrow. Tomorrow she may be yours, she may not be yours. This risk has to be accepted. Only then there can be joy in relationship. When relationship is free, when there is freedom in it, there is joy, because freedom is the ultimate value. Nothing is higher than that. If your love leads you towards freedom, then your love will be a blessing. If it leads towards slavery, it is not a blessing, it is a curse. On his golden wedding anniversary, a man was asked if his marriage had turned out better or worse than he had anticipated. Well, he said, originally I thought our marriage would be a 50-50 proposition. It has turned out that way, but not as I expected. My wife has had her way the first 50 years, and I will have my way the second 50. Something like this arrangement happens between husbands and wives. It is an arranged phenomenon. It is not out of love. Both are trying to get as much out of it as possible and to give as less as possible. We got a divorce because we were incompatible, explained one barfly to another. My wife hated me when I was drunk, and I could not stand her when I was sober. These are arrangements. The newly enlisted rookie was being examined by the army psychiatrist. What do you do for social life? He was asked. I just hang around the house. Do you ever go out with girls? No. Don't you ever want to? Yes. Then why don't you? My wife won't let me. The husbands and wives are protecting each other, guarding, detecting. They are not friends, but enemies. In every possible way, trying to prove who is the master. How can you be happy with your wife, Girdhari Lal Jain? If you are a husband, you cannot be happy. The very word husband is ugly. It comes from husbandry. The wife is thought to be like a field, and you are the farmer. You have to sow the seeds. The wife is just like a field. You are the owner, the sower of the seeds, the reaper of the crops, and she is just the earth. We should change our language. Very ugly words go on still being used by us. Husband is an ugly word. It should be dropped from all languages. The wife and the husband should come to a better understanding. They are together to make a life a joy. They are together not to quarrel, not to nag, not to destroy each other, but to enhance in every possible way, physical, psychological, spiritual. Love should be a journey, a pilgrimage towards the ultimate. An elderly couple are lying in bed. Joseph, she says, "You remember the days you used to kiss my ear?" Joseph turns over and kisses her ear. And Joseph, she says, "You remember the days you used to fondle my hair?" Joseph gently strokes her hair. And Joseph, she continues, "You remember the days you used to bite my neck?" Joseph gets up and walks through the room. "Hey Marge," he says, "do you remember where I put my false teeth?" Love is not a demand. Love is a deep understanding. One cannot ask for it. One should give for the sheer joy of giving. Certainly, it comes. Thousandfold it comes. But that has not to be asked for. There is no future for the institution of marriage. We will have to discover new forms of relating, new forms of loving, new dimensions in which people can join together. Marriage is out of date, but old habits die hard. We go on clinging. Even young people. Just the other day, a girl who is only 22 and not even Indian, she comes from Germany. She asked me that I want to get married. For what? Can't you see the insanity all around? Her father has divorced her mother. Her mother has moved with some other man. Her father is living with some other woman, and still she wants to get married. Everybody thinks as if his life is going to be an exception. That foolish idea destroys people's whole life. The first thing is love. Love deeply. And if you have been with a person for few years in deep love, and you have experienced all the joys and all the miseries, and still you decide to be with the person, then marriage is okay. Because marriage is only a legal arrangement. It cannot make anything more beautiful than it is. It can only make ugly, but it cannot beautify them. Once legally it is settled, once you start taking each other for granted, things will start going down rather than rising high. So before one settles with anybody, one should learn to live with as many people as possible. My own understanding is that there are not two persons alike. Hence, unless you have experienced many love affairs, you will not know the multidimensionality of love. And after knowing the multidimensionality of love, you will feel enriched. And only when you know that you have known the world enough, and now you have experienced, observed many kinds of relationships, when you have experienced with many types of people, then only you can choose. No astrologer can decide it for you, and no parents can decide it for you. Even you, just by our instinct, cannot decide for it. Love affairs have been failing, and parents feel very happy. People come to me and they say, look, in the West, love affairs are failing. Then why you are against marriage, they ask me. Love affairs are failing because first the marriage was arranged by the astrologer, then it was arranged by the parents. Now it is being arranged by biology, by instinct. You suddenly feel that you like a woman, but you don't know how long this is going to last. And you are not even aware why you like her. You are not even alert what it is in you that likes her. Maybe it is just her hairstyle. Now are you going to get married with hairstyle? You can get married, but tomorrow morning, when you will see her hair's disheveled, you will be at a loss. Is this the same woman I had fallen in love? And how long you can be interested in the hairstyle? Soon you will get fed up. The same hairstyle again and again, the whole day, 24 hours. People are falling in love because a certain man has a certain type of nose. People are falling in love with fragments. Nobody is bothered about the totality of the person, and it is a vast thing. Nose does not count much. After 2 days you won't look at it at all. Are the colors, are the shape, are the proportion of the body, all these things are very minor. The real thing is the total functioning of the person, and that can be experienced only when you live together. Before one decides to get married, one should live with many people, so one can choose in awareness. And one should live with the person one is choosing for few months, for few years. My own observation is that nobody should get married before the age 35. If 70 years you are going to live, then 35 is the right time. If you are going to live more than that, then you can prolong. If you are going to die at 80, then 40. If you have decided to live 100 years, then 50. The longer you wait, the better. Because if you wait long enough, you may decide not to get into it at all. That is the most beautiful thing if you wait long enough. Just the other day, Amrit Chinmayo has asked me, now she is near about 50. She is a beautiful woman, and I like her because she is outrageous. She asked me, Bhagwan, here I don't see many sannyasins of my age. There are beautiful people, stunning people, but they are near about 30 or at the most 35. and I am 50, and there are very few people who are 50 or beyond 50. Am I transcending sex, or it is just because I cannot find people of my own age? My feeling, Chinmayo, for you is that if you have lived an outrageous life, it is time to transcend. Only outrageous people can transcend quickly. The orthodox, the conventional, the people who live in a lukewarm way, go on and on repeating the same stupidity to the very end. Even when they are dying, they will be thinking of sex, women, and you can always find under their pillow a copy of Playboy. Maybe very old copy, when they used to be young. Just a hangover, still carrying something like a memoirs of their youth, young days. Chinmayo is a woman who has really lived. And if you live totally and really, authentically, sooner you will get beyond all this nonsense. 50 is the right time to go beyond. But don't force it, because forcing will not help. Transcendence has to happen in a silent, whisper-like manner. One becomes aware only when it has happened. But it is going to happen sooner or later, Chinmayo. It will not take long for you. Those who live intensely can live in 10 years more than ordinary people can live in 50 years. Once a man asked Emerson, "How much is your age?" Emerson said, 360 years. The man could not believe. He lived not more than 60. And he could not believe that he will lie, because he was a man well known for his authenticity. He thought, I must have heard wrongly. He said, "Pardon me, I could not hear. What do you say? How much is your age?" He said, 360. "And you have not heard wrongly. I have said it exactly 360. The man said, "I cannot believe." Emerson said, "I cannot believe myself. So I don't expect you to believe. But I say I have lived 360 years, because ordinarily the people live in such a lukewarm way that if they live 360 years, then they will come close to me, although I have lived only 60 years. But I have lived intensely and totally. Each moment I have squeezed the juice of life. I have not left even a single drop behind. So in 60 years I have lived 6 times more than ordinarily people live. And that's my feeling about Chinmayo. She has lived in 50 years more than people will live in 100 years. And it is time to transcend. It is time to go beyond. Sex is animal, love is human, and to go beyond love is divine. Then arises prayer. Sex, love, prayer. These are the 3 stages of life. If you die without knowing prayer, you have lived in vain. The last question. Why are you not serious? Why are you always joking? God is not serious. What can I do? God is always joking. You look at your own life, it is a joke. You look at other people's life, and you will find jokes and jokes and jokes. Seriousness is illness. Seriousness has nothing spiritual about it. Spirituality is laughter. Spirituality is joy. Spirituality is fun. Two hunters were in a forest looking for game when they came across a huge black bear. The first hunter took aim but missed. The second hunter took careful aim as the bear drew closer to them, but his gun jammed. The two hunters fled in terror with the bear in hot pursuit. They came to a small cabin at the edge of the forest, ran inside and bolted the door just before the bear reached them. The enormous bear circled the cabin, found an open window and climbed in after them. Loud crashing and terror-stricken screams ensued, then silence. Finally, after 3 days, the door burst open and the first hunter staggered out, walked 10 paces, then fell, face first onto the ground. Not long after, the second hunter staggered out, walked about 20 paces, then fell to the ground. Hours later, the bear appeared, staggered up the track about half a mile, then collapsed. Shortly after, a beautiful young lady appeared at the door of the cabin. She walked up to the first hunter and said, "Him, he owes me $10. Walking up to the second hunter, she said, "Him, he owes me $20. Then she looked up and began scanning the horizon. "Now, I wonder what happened to that big guy in the fur coat. He had another free one coming." Enough for today.